Here's a number that genuinely surprised me. Two investors, same starting point, $10,000, same decade. One bought VOO, Vanguard's famous S&P 500 ETF. Solid choice, right? They ended up with roughly $42,000 today. Not bad at all. That's a 15.6% annualized return over 10 years. The other investor put that same $10,000 into a single Fidelity ETF, one most people outside the investing community have never heard of, and walked away with over $85,000. Same time frame, more than double the result. Now, before you say, that's obviously just a tech fund, yes, you're right, it is, and that's exactly the point. Because there's a version of smart, safe investing that quietly limits what your money can actually do, and a version that builds real compounding wealth over time. Most people are running the first version without realizing it. Today, I want to show you 3 Fidelity ETFs, one built for growth, one for income, and one for protection, and explain how combining them deliberately can outperform simply holding VOO alone. Here's the framework we're working through. FTEC, Fidelity's tech ETF, the fund that turned $10,000 into over $85,000 over the last decade at a 24% annualized return. FDVV, Fidelity's high dividend ETF, around a 2.9% yield and a 10-year total return above 214%. FHLC, Fidelity's healthcare ETF. When the S&P 500 dropped 18% in 2022, this one fell just 5.5%. The difference in your account at that moment is not a small thing. And I'll show you how to size all 3 based on where you are in life, not a generic hold everything equally allocation that fits nobody. This isn't an argument against Vanguard. VOO is a great fund, but great and optimal for your specific situation are 2 different things. By the end of this video, you'll understand exactly why. Let's be clear about what most people are actually doing. They open a brokerage account, find VOO or VTI, set up automatic contributions, and consider the job done. That's not a bad decision. It's genuinely better than not investing at all, and better than trying to pick individual stocks. But VOO is the S&P 500. You get 500 companies, market cap weighted, and your returns are designed to match the broad market. That's the deal. You're not trying to beat the market, you're trying to mirror it. And over stretches, that means roughly 13 to 15% annualized. Historically, excellent. But here's what that actually looks like in dollar terms when you compare it to something more intentional. That gap isn't just a percentage difference on a spreadsheet. That's the difference between retiring at 60 and retiring at 65. It's the difference between withdrawing $3,000 a month comfortably or worrying about whether the math holds. It's the years of your life those extra dollars represent. ETF 1, FTEC, Fidelity MSCI Information Technology ETF, ticker FTEC. FTEC is a pure tech sector fund. It holds close to 300 US tech stocks, but is heavily concentrated in the companies driving the modern economy. Nvidia at roughly 19%, Apple at 14%, Microsoft at 10%, and their peers across semiconductors, cloud, and software. The expense ratio is 0.08%. For comparison, Vanguard's equivalent tech fund, VGT, charges 0.09%. It's a rounding error in practice, but FTEC is technically the cheaper option. Now, the math that opened this video. $10,000 in VOO 10 years ago, roughly $42,000 today. That's the S&P 500 at approximately 15.6% annualized. Strong. $10,000 in FTEC over the same period, over $85,000. That's a 24% annualized return over a decade. Full transparency here. Past performance doesn't guarantee future results. Tech had an extraordinary decade. It also had 2022, when FTEC dropped nearly 30%. That's not a footnote. That's a real thing that happened. And if you were close to retirement and heavily in FTEC with no balance, it hurt. But for investors in their 30s and 40s with a 15 to 20-year runway, that volatility is manageable because you have time to absorb it and let the recovery compound. The question isn't whether there will be corrections. The question is where technology is heading over the next 20 years. The answer to that one seems fairly clear. ETF 2, FDVV, Fidelity High Dividend ETF, ticker FDVV. This is where I need to address something directly, because FDVV is more nuanced than the name suggests, and that nuance is actually what makes it interesting. When most people hear high dividend ETF, they picture a fund full of sluggish, old economy companies paying out dividends they can barely afford just to attract investors. That trap is real. Some dividend funds chase yield and end up with companies cutting dividends the moment the economy slows. FDVV is built differently, but here's the part that surprises people. Its largest sector is actually technology at 27%, followed by financials at around 18% and consumer cyclical at 14%. Nvidia, Apple, and Microsoft are 3 of its top holdings. What that means is FDVV screens for companies that pay dividends and have the financial health to grow them, including high-quality tech companies that happen to pay dividends. It's less of a traditional income fund and more of a quality-tilted hybrid that gives you income without sacrificing growth potential. The current yield is approximately 2.9%. On a $500,000 portfolio, that's roughly $14,500 per year, over $1,200 per month in dividend income without selling a single share. And the 10-year total return, over 214%, or about 12 to 13% annualized. So your initial investment more than tripled while collecting income payments along the way. For retirees, this math matters directly. The conventional 4% withdrawal rule assumes you sell shares every year and hope you outlive the money. If your portfolio is generating nearly 3% in dividends automatically, you've reduced the amount you need to sell significantly. Your principal has more runway. That's a meaningful shift in retirement security. For U.S. investors, most of FDVV's dividends qualify for the lower long-term capital gains tax rate, often 15%, rather than ordinary income tax rates. That after-tax advantage compounds over time. Expense ratio, 0.15%, reasonable for what the fund delivers.
ETF 3, FHLC, Fidelity MSCI Healthcare Index ETF. Ticker FHLC. Healthcare is not exciting. I'll say that plainly. Nobody gets fired up about hospital systems and pharmaceutical companies the way they get fired up about semiconductors. But boring is exactly the point. In 2022, when the S&P 500 lost 18% and FTEC lost nearly 30%, FHLC fell just 5.5%. The reason is structural. People don't stop filling prescriptions because the stock market is down. They don't cancel surgery. They don't skip insulin because valuations are elevated. Healthcare demand is tied to demographics, not investor sentiment. And with an aging US population, that demand isn't going away. FHLC holds close to 400 stocks, including United Health Group, Eli Lilly, and Johnson & Johnson. It's delivered approximately 9.6% annualized over the past 10 years. Not spectacular compared to tech, but with a beta of around 0.8, meaning it moves less aggressively than the broader market in either direction. The expense ratio is 0.08%, same as FTEC, one of the cheapest healthcare funds available. Think of FHLC as your anchor. In years when tech runs up 30%, you won't even notice it in your portfolio. In years when tech drops 30%, you'll be extremely glad it's there. The framework. So how does this actually come together? The allocation comes down to what you need the portfolio to do right now, and that changes meaningfully by age. Under 35, you don't need income. You need growth and time to work for you. Go heavy on FTEC, 70% or more. A meaningful FHLC position acts as a buffer in rough years. Keep FDVV minimal for now. Dividend income in a taxable account creates unnecessary complexity during the accumulation phase. Ages 35 to 55. Start balancing. FTEC remains your primary growth engine, but FHLC earns a larger allocation as your timeline shortens and volatility starts to actually cost you something. FDVV makes increasing sense here, especially inside a Roth or traditional IRA where the income is tax advantaged. Ages 55 to 65 plus. The center of gravity shifts. Income and capital preservation become the priority. FDVV deserves the largest allocation, around 50%. FHLC becomes her primary defensive anchor at roughly 40%. FTEC stays in the mix at 10% because inflation is real and you need something in your portfolio that can outpace it over time.
Here's the clearest thing I want you to take away from this. VOO is not broken. It's one of the best single fund options available to retail investors anywhere in the world. The argument isn't that the S&P 500 is a bad investment. The argument is that I own VOO, therefore I'm done thinking about this, can sometimes be a sophisticated, considered strategy. And sometimes it's just the path of least resistance. And for a lot of people, it's the second one without them realizing it. Knowing the difference is worth something. FTEC gives you deliberate exposure to the sector that has generated more wealth in the last decade than any other. FDVV gives you income that doesn't require selling shares to access, income that arrives regardless of what the market is doing that month. FHLC gives you a position that holds its value when everything else is falling apart. 3 funds, 3 distinct jobs, 1 coherent system. You don't have to build this overnight. You don't have to change everything you're doing today, but understanding why these funds work and what role each one plays puts you in a meaningfully different position than most investors who never think past the ticker. If you're already in VOO, this isn't a reason to panic. If you're starting fresh, now you have a more complete picture. Either way, you have the framework.